a brand new dawning as the passion start around.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And viewers, of course, if you, heard the news a little bit ago, we spoke about, the PDP yesterday having a press conference where they discussed a little matter of whether or not Tobago wants self-determination or autonomy. And the PDP, of course, is saying that Tobago wants self-determination. Now, we've been hearing these terms just thrown about quite a lot over the past however many years as we're trying to figure out our own course here in Tobago, and throughout the many consultations and so on that has been taking place. So I'm being joined this morning by the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and of course that is none other than Mr. Watson Duke. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Duke. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Kandace. Good morning, Tobago, and all the fans of Tobago Updates.
Certainly. Thank you so much. Now, I want to get straight into it about this whole issue about self-determination. This is something that you guys believe very strongly in, and not just strongly in it, you think that this is what Tobago needs. And for those that are watching on, and they're confused, some people are saying that all of it means the same thing: self-determination, autonomy, self-governance means the same thing. But you're saying it means self-determination means something different from autonomy and self-governance. So could you explain that a little bit?
All right. First of all, in the simplest sense of the word, self-determination is where a group of people that was held in subjugation, that was colonized, they now have the opportunity to self-determination to decolonize. It's the only legal system that allows for decolonization, self-determination. It's well rooted in law, international law. It's championed by the United Nations, by the International Charter, Convention, and this kind of stuff. This is it. Autonomy is a form of government. It's a form of internal self-government. When you speak of autonomy, you're talking about internal self-government. You have to have autonomy, is more rights from a bigger group that gives you rights. The truth is, where did Trinidad, and I use the word Trinidad loosely, not the people, but where did the British colony that controlled Trinidad as a crown colony, where did they get the right from to determine to take away all of Tobagonian rights and then give us back in small portions? Where did Dr. Eric Williams get that right without consulting us to go and got independence for themselves as an island, as a nation, and Tobago was only an appendage? We are a ward in law. What does that mean? Tobago is good as a paraplegic. We're good as someone who is dumb, who can't speak, who can't walk. We're just there, and they have to take care of us. This is why they keep throwing it in our face over and over again. If we don't take care of you, who can mind you? This is why Tobago cannot borrow money from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. This is why Tobago doesn't have any foreign affairs department, because we are under Trinidad not as an island, but as a ward. It is the worst level of relationship that exists in the Caribbean today. An island with a ward. There's no other island that has a ward. Tobago is too big to be a ward. Tobago is a full island by itself. Up until 1876, there was a Tobago constitution. Go to the Scarborough Library, ask for it. Tobago was an island. We paid our own taxes. We charged tax. We imposed different custom duties. We had our own Chief Justice, etc. up until 1876. But after there was that Roxborough Belmano riot, where the planters took hold of the country for like 5 days, right? And they had to go to Grenada, then to Barbados to get the naval fleet to come and suppress the uprising. After that, a few months after that, the Queen in England repealed the Tobago Constitution, and she made Tobago into Crown colony rule, citing that the Tobago House of Assembly then could not take care of Tobago. They were irresponsible, and she didn't want that trouble. 1876. In 1889, they then forced us into a relationship with Trinidad in a very subservient manner called a ward. And we are living with the effects of a ward till this day. There's no university, there's nothing here. So what we're asking for is that thing that was set up to allow for decolonization called self-determination. It's an international law. It's a cardinal right that we have. To one, determine for ourselves, among ourselves in Tobago, our political status. We have never had a chance to determine our political status. From being an independent country up until 1876, the British decided for us, you will now be a part of Trinidad. We are removing our governance systems, and Trinidad will now rule over you, and you will be a ward of Trinidad. Tobago didn't decide. Then in 1962, when we went for independence, Tobago did not decide either.
And that language was never changed in the Constitution.
Never changed, never changed. But we don't have self-determination, but the terms ward always remain. Even when we got independence, Tobago remained a ward. If you are a mother and you have a baby, and you go in the sun, the baby is in the sun. If you stand in the rain, the baby is in the rain. If you are sick, chances are the baby will be sick. And this is what is happening to Trinidad and Tobago. It is one of the most unfair relationships. And by no means am I speaking secession, because self-determination speaks of either one of three forms of government. One, it speaks to the country who seeks self-determination could determine among itself whether they want to be independent. Two, whether they want to have integration with another country of their choice. And so therefore you could have Trinidad and Tobago. That's an integration. But when you do that not as a ward, but as one island with the next, with the right to remove itself if the relationship is not becoming of what you expected. It's like a marriage. A man and a woman get married, and if one party feels as an individual, they come together. All right? When you come together, if you do not like the marriage and you're not getting what you want, and you feel yourself it's not worth it, you have the right to remove yourself. What this autonomy bill does, on the other hand, that's not a right. Autonomy is a choice. But once it goes into the Constitution, it means that we would have chosen a position for life. And we can't undo that, because what goes into the Constitution stays into the Constitution. Since 1889, we became a ward into the Constitution. Now it's 2024. We are still a ward in the Constitution. We got independence, but no one changed the status of us being a ward in Tobago. We got Republican status in 1976. No one changed it. All changes have been made to the Constitution, minor changes to facilitate different types of law that may infringe on people's rights. But never did they try to change the law that affect Tobagonian rights as a ward. Now, in this constitutional amendment, they want to change it. They are saying Tobago will be an island of equal status as of Trinidad, but they are not putting the word with the right to self-determination. And I'm saying, in this constitution, all we want to have inside of it is Trinidad, Tobago will be an island of equal status to Trinidad. The ward will be removed from her, and Tobago will have the right to self-determination upon the passage of this bill. Once the bill is passed, then we have that right.
And of course, and right, I mean, now you're also speaking about constitutional reform, and we're at that point where we're having that conversation as a nation.
That's right.
Especially after Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced that we're going to have those discussions happening over the next 6 months up until June 2024. So, I mean, which means that first line in the Constitution that talks about that relationship, that needs to change.
That's right. That's
and how are you going to go about making sure that we can advocate strongly enough for that change in the Constitution?
Well, we must corral all of Tobago into one voice, right? And speaking with that one voice, we will not, let's say one, not everyone, but the majority speaking, saying we want our full rights, we want the right to self-determine. When you have self-determination written in the law, and Tobago as a country has a right to self-determination, what we are saying, these are the natural benefits that will accrue to Tobago. One, Tobago will always have the right to choose the form of governance it wants. Right? Right now, Trinidad decide that they want to form a linkage with Barbados and Guyana. They could do that because they are Trinidad. They are the one that got independence. We got it underneath their dress tail, but they're the one who got it. All right? We want to have that right. We want to say, look, Yes, we do not want to be part of that boat system. We don't have that right. Right now, they could impose a tax on us and say, take tax. If, when in 1990 they had curfew, nothing happened in Tobago, but here suffered the whole curfew situation, state of emergency. When we had the prisoners breaking out in Trinidad recently from the jail right in Port of Spain, right in Port of Spain there, here was under lockdown. Grenada wasn't under lockdown because at the end of the day, Tobago will have to sneeze when Trinidad blew its nose. And we don't want that relationship. Our economy is planned by Trinidad. They will say plant potatoes, plant peas, plant this. In Tobago, when we have that self-determination, we among ourselves in Tobago determine what type of economy we want.
So how does that translate though? So let's say we have that self-determination right written into the Constitution.
Yeah.
So we're no longer a ward, we have equal status with Trinidad, and we have the right to self-determine.
Yeah.
Now, how does that now reflect onto how we form our governance structure here in Tobago with the necessary infrastructure to support it? And I'm not just speaking about buildings, of course.
Right.
I'm speaking, just in the policies and that sort of thing. How does that happen?
Well, as a skilled negotiator, once you have gotten that in the Constitution, written in the right place, in the right form of sentence, that's everything. You have gotten everything. What you would have gotten there is territorial integrity and sovereignty for Tobago. So it's like a man, again, independent man and an independent woman getting married. The two become one and a mindset. All right, and a mindset. And we must always enter into a relationship with Trinidad as Tobago and as Trinidad. The whole thing changes, the equation changes. They can no longer dumb us down or belittle us. We must now be respected as equal partners. Though we have 2 votes, those 2 votes will now be equal to the 39 votes. We're talking equity, which is not the same thing as equality. Equity, not equality we're talking about. So our 2 votes, unless we vote on a bill, that bill doesn't affect Tobago. And we need to have the 2 seats in Tobago East and Tobago West more than just rubber stamps. We need to have people with brain in their head, people who can make decisions, and people make decisions in accordance with the will of the electorate in Tobago. That says everything. All our, the territorial integrity and our sovereignty, that's defined automatically. Because in international law, in the United Nations General Assembly, self-determination has its place. Like I said yesterday in my press conference, Cayman Islands was once in a similar situation as Tobago. They were placed under Jamaica, but not as a ward. Jamaica simply was the administrating arm over the Cayman Islands because the British had control of both places for monetary reasons. In 1963, thereabout, when Jamaica was about to seek independence, self-determination, and they went to England and said, look, we are ready to pursue our own course, to determine our own political system. We want independence from the British system. And you know what? They had to go and talk to the Cayman Islands. And they went and they spoke to the assembly in the Cayman Islands, the House of Assembly there. And they said, no, you go ahead, you get your independence, we will stay with the British. They exercised their right to self-determination in the Cayman Islands. And Jamaica exercised their right to self-determination. We were never called into question. It is a human right travesty for a group of people who have been enslaved not to have the right to decide. In 2007, the United Nations General Assembly ruled on the indigenous people for both America and certain Canada and these places, right? That they have the right to self-determination. They could be part of the country, part of the political system that subsume them as a nation, or they can go out and create their own. All right? The thing is, when you are going out to create an independent country, you have to look at the pros and the cons. How are we going to survive? What are we going to sell? If you're going to form an association as the European Union or the Organization of American States or the Eastern dollar, right?
Yes.
Right. Eastern Caribbean dollar, EC. if you're going to form an association, you must know what you're getting into. If you're going to link yourself with someone like Trinidad and Tobago, then you have to know what you're getting into. Once we go there, as a country, as an island, and Trinidad is an island, it's equal status, and it means that our discussions will take a different level. But I must confess, my colleagues cannot do that.
And yes, I was just about to get into that.
My colleagues cannot do that.
We've got about a minute left of our conversation, but you do not agree with what's happening right now. But Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has presented a document to Parliament about the differences between the bills that was submitted to Cabinet in 2018 and the bills that are there right now. Why?
I don't agree. Fali is out of his depths. I mean, he's not able to carry that argument because he's a newbie, and beside that, his brain has not reached a level of maturity to carry that argument. These are national discussions of great proportions. He has never even negotiated for a right figure. So how could you negotiate for a country? This is a country, you know. I have negotiated for over 80,000 people. I've met the UNC government. I've met the Manning government. I've met the Rowley government. I mean, I've met all of these people. And when I speak to them, I speak to them as manos. And I want to tell you that when I speak on behalf of Tobago on this issue, I could challenge anybody. Any of our scholars on this country who feel I'm wrong, I'm challenging them to an open debate on it. Tobago requires self-determination. That is what our ancestors who died fought for. The right to choose. We want all our rights. We don't want some of our rights. Autonomy is what we already have right now. We have autonomy. That's some of our rights. Now they're asking for more rights. Why define 7% as a mark when we could get as much percentage we want as we could pay back? Why decide on saying that you're going to have a bicameral system when if we want, we can create a hybrid unicameral system? Why say you could only have 9 divisions when if we want, we could have 30 divisions? Who stopped Dr. Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, from extending his cabinet? No one's. They have the right to self-determination. We are locked in a bad arrangement that squeezes us and makes us uncomfortable. We need to get out of that trap that says autonomy is what we need.
And of course, and you're saying that the only way out is through self-determination and that change in the Constitution.
And as Buju Banton and Sarah Rasta liberate the people, it's the PDP could liberate the people. Nobody else but the PDP could liberate the people, because we are the one with the ideas. And we are the ones with the fight to change Tobago in the way it should be changed.
All right, well, thank you so much,
Thank you so much
for being on with us and for giving us a little bit of clarity as to your stance, and we're looking forward to see how this unfolds in the coming weeks and months. Thank you again. All right, viewers, I gotta go for a quick break, but we'll be right back, so please don't go anywhere.
Yeah.